when you described how you receive a referral to do an investigation, you mentioned something about the Rangers get utilized when things are too local for local law enforcement. Could you explain that a little bit more?
So
Is it based because there's political ramifications?
well, yes, political things could be involved, and because the Rangers are not working for the county or the state, I mean not the state, but not working for the county or the city, we're considered an outside agency with no interest of what would be going on a parochial level, and so many times district attorneys will ask that of an outside agency, just in the effort to be as fair as possible for an outside agency to come in and take a look at things.
And the types of cases based on your job duties, does that involve all kinds of political electeds and political government entities?
Right. So specifically myself, I only work cases that involve either law enforcement or elected officials or people that are head of a company, head of an agency, and things of that nature. With that being said, I have to have special permission. There's a litany of permissions before we do that.
And in this case in particular, were you asked to investigate Michelle Vela for any other purpose other than the Rodriguez, for any political purpose?
Yes, I was. Not a political purpose, but for other reasons.
And so, did you even know Michelle Vela before you did this case?
No, ma'am.
Did my office somehow indicate that we needed to target Michelle Vela?
No, I'm going to object. First of all, he's leaving. She's leaving. And at this point,
Sustained to leading.
As it relates to the Rodriguez Park investigation, what was the purpose of the referral that you received from my office?
That purpose is so that the powers that be within the Rangers know that there's proper predication before we go into an investigation.
And based on that predication, what are the various kinds of things you look at?
Well, we look at what the complaint is, if the complaint is valid, if it's worthy enough of investigation, if there's support of said complaint or complaints. And our senior level officers will review all of the complaints, like I said, to make sure there's predication, because you just don't want to haphazardly go into an investigation based on assumptions or accusations.
And so what is the ultimate goal of your investigation?
It's, again, to find the facts, be it the facts that a person had committed a crime or a person had not committed a crime.
Last witness? Subject to recall.
So, Ranger Freeman, we haven't met before. I'm Jason Goss. I think you might know me a little bit. Patrick Valentine. I'll be asking you some questions based on the limited stuff about what you were just asked, and then I guess later we'll have a more full discussion about your investigation. Does that make sense?
Okay, yes, sir.
Okay, so you're our next person witness.
The first thing I want to talk about, and it's something that you mentioned. You mind if I stand here next?
No.
Okay. The first thing that, one of the things you mentioned, I think one of the things that Don was going through with you is that, I guess she was pointing out like judge signatures, right?
Right.
And I guess for the purpose of letting the jury know that a judge looks at it and signs it. But what's really important about a search warrant is that the burden of proof that you need to get a search warrant is probable cause.
Correct.
Okay, and that probable cause would be way down here compared to beyond a reasonable doubt. You'd agree with that?
Probable cause is probable cause. I can't put it on a meter.
Okay, but you know,
Reasonable suspicion is below if we're going to put it on a meter.
sure, you got one thing below it, and then all the other burdens are above it.
Right.
Okay, so in the beyond reasonable, that's the highest burden.
Correct.
Okay, so when a judge or anybody looks at this, they're just looking at it based on whether or not you have that lower burden of probable cause.
If you have probable cause, correct.
And one of the things that you said was you said that it's important to you to make sure that sometimes you do investigations, you don't find anything wrong, right?
Right.
Okay, but those investigations would have started with a search warrant where you said you thought you were going to find something wrong, and then you ended up not finding anything wrong.
Not all investigations start or end with a search warrant.
But you have searched a search warrant before, and then didn't get any evidence of any crime in your previous in any of your previous investigations you've done, not concerning this.
Are you going to show him an exhibit? Because I'd rather you do cross-examination from tables.
Yes, sir. I can do that. I thought I might be referring to it back and forth, but I'll go sit down and tell her. Stand up. My question is that, in the past, you fill out a search warrant, you've gone, and I'm just not basing this on anything here. I'm basing this on your investigation experience that she talked about. But in the past, you've had a search warrant before, and you went and served the search warrant, and then didn't find any evidence of any wrongdoing.
That's not true.
You've never done
I personally have not served a search warrant and not found evidence.
How long have you been a Ranger?
Over 11 years.
Okay. So how many search warrants do you think you served?
Gosh, I don't know. It's not a lot, but they're not something that you do all the time, every time. So
Would it be more than 20?
I would be guessing.
Well, if it's not a lot, then it would seem to be a significant event in your career. So, right, serving a search warrant if you don't do it very often.
I can't give you a number because you're going to hold me to that. That's kind of tricky.
Well, I'll tell you this. One of the things I will not do is hold you to a specific number. I'm just asking for an estimate.
Okay. And I don't know.
Okay. All right. There was a few questions that she asked. I think you heard me say that I agree that there was a search warrant served and that you collected these documents, and then I guess we'll be talking about it throughout the trial, and we'll wrap it back up with you later. But one of the things that Don brought up with you is that you and Don have had a close working relationship for many years.
Yes.
All right. And so, do you see a difference between the appearance of neutrality and actual neutrality? Do you see that there's a difference between those two things?
Of course.
Right. One's the appearance of it, not necessarily. The one's actually being a neutral party.
It's kind of subjective, but yes.
Just in general terms, that would be the difference between. Now, you could be neutral and also have the appearance of neutrality, but you can have the appearance of neutrality sometimes without actual neutrality. Would you agree with that?
Ask again, please.
So you can have the appearance of neutrality and actually be neutral, but you can also have the appearance of neutrality and not actually be neutral, but it looks like what you are. Would you agree with that?
Sure.
Okay. So in this situation, you said that you are, I guess, with the Texas Rangers, but you're assigned to San Antonio, is that right?
Yes.
And you do these kind of investigations for San Antonio.
Yes.
Do you have other people that do these kind of investigations in areas around San Antonio? That do your job just in different other states?
Yes, there are other rangers that do what we call public corruption investigations.
Right. And like, for instance, in Austin?
Yes.
Okay. Anywhere else around San Antonio that have other rangers that do that?
Yes.
Can you tell us where?
Every station, every company, I should say, that's how Rangers are split up into companies. We'll have a specific guy that does. But, however, every Ranger anywhere can pick up a public corruption case because of the way we are assigned them. When we're asked to do them, we don't initiate them.
Right. So,
for instance, if the DA's office in Bexar County asks for a ranger to do an outside agency investigation, they could choose your department, the Department of Public Safety, and I guess the rangers beneath it, could choose to have anybody that is an agent, or I'm sorry, a Ranger Freeman in their station to do that investigation.
I'm not sure I'm real clear on what you're asking me.
Okay. So I'm going to call these people Ranger Freemans.
Okay.
What I mean by that is people that do your job in different stations.
Okay, fine, right.
As Texas Ranger. So we had the question of how many Ranger Freemans are there in the general area that you know of? Within 100 miles.
70 miles up in Austin, there's a unit that does public corruption. So
And
there
how
are
many
two.
Ranger Freemans?
There are 2 Ranger Freemans up there.
Okay. And then how many Ranger Freemans are in any other area that's around there?
So there'd be 1 in every company. So there's going to be 6 that specifically do public corruption. There'd be like 6 Ranger Freemans out there.
Okay. So, and I guess my question is that, okay, so neutrality, and this is based on the question she was asking on direct. Neutrality in an investigation like this is important, right? But when the DA's office themselves initiated the investigation, the person who has the close relationship with the person who initiated the investigation was the Ranger Freeman that was assigned. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I was assigned, yes.
Right. And so you and Don, this is Brad and Don, y'all have had a working relationship for a long time.
Yes, sir.
And they could have assigned any other Ranger Freemans that don't have that kind of relationship with the people asking for the investigation.
No,
And
they wouldn't do that.
well, I thought that you had testified that they could do that. Any Ranger Freeman can work an investigation.
No, that deserves some explanation. The state has to be good stewards of your money. So they would not invite a Ranger Freeman from Houston to come to San Antonio for the appearance of neutrality.
Sure. And you used the example of Houston. But the question I asked you was somebody closer.
Same principle. Have to be good stewards of your tax dollars. It would not be cost effective to send rangers, because if that starts happening, rangers are going across the state without fail because of the request. The state has to control who gets these assignments. So it stays on a parochial level, which would be this Ranger Freeman.
Okay. But this Ranger Freeman is the Ranger Freeman that has a personal relationship with the investigating agency.
That is correct, yes, sir.
Okay. And so the gas mileage or expense of the Austin Ranger Freeman coming here, you would say, on balance, is worth more than actual neutrality, having somebody that doesn't have a relationship with that person.
I would argue that you would say that because you pay taxes also.
You could argue I would say that, but I will tell you that, especially in a situation like this,
I need to get this jury to lunch. Do you have much more about the exhibit that was marked and direct?
no, I just wanted to respond because he suggested that I would say that, so I wanted to tell him that.
Okay. After that, how much more do you have?
Probably 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
Go ahead.
So you would argue that I would say that, but I'll tell you that it's more important for me that somebody who's neutral and doesn't have a personal relationship with that person is the one assigned.